Join us every day, usually in the morning between 5 and 11, for the Central Indiana Scoreboard Show, your daily audio sports section featuring scores, details, and sound bites from the Pacers, Fever, Colts, IndyCar, IU, Purdue, Ball State, Butler, major national sports news, and of course, the best high school sports coverage in Central Indiana. Every day. What you are listening to now is the Central Indiana Sports Report podcast number 295.3. Our NBA Finals report with John Robertson. John and I are joined by our Pacers guy, Mike Rich, our national sports guy, Will Retherford, Tipton, Tribune, and Elwood Call Leader sports editor, Michelle Garmon, and Codey Emerson of the Greencastle Banner Graphic.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengel.
Welcome, NBA fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report and the NBA Finals Report with John Robertson, and we're joined right now by Will Rutherford. And, John, I was thinking about this today. I probably believe the Pacers are going to win a championship right now more than any other time since the 1999 season, right before Larry Johnson hit the 4-point play.
I think they're in the driver's seat, right? Like, I'm very comfortably in the driver's seat. I feel good about it. The media today, the major medias, they were prancing around praising the Pacers a lot, which I kind of don't like to see. I kind of like when the Pacers are the underdogs, but I'm feeling
when it's
like
the guys who know what they're talking about, I like to see it though.
That's true. That's true.
Because they've been making a lot of good points about where the Pacers have some advantages.
I really do. I feel very comfortable, and I like that they're in the driver's seat. I think
I would never say very comfortable, John.
I say the most comfortable I've been the entire time. How about that?
Well, yeah.
This is the most comfortable.
Pacers fans are probably going to hate me. I still put their odds at winning the championship at 45%. I still think the Thunder, overall, probably have a slightly better team. But man, I'm seeing a lot of things I like, and I think it was on our text chat today, Mike Hutzel pointed out that the Pacers, the ESPN analytics have the Pacers at a 60% chance of winning Game 4. If they win Game 4, I don't know. The anxiety I had last night, it's going to triple, man.
I do think Game 4 is going to determine the series. Like, I really do believe that whoever wins Game 4.
That's what you said against Cleveland.
Yeah, I think that really will matter, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, I don't want to get too high or too low. I don't want to take too big of a swing. I want to just see how it goes and enjoy the ride. At this point, it's been a lot of fun.
And joining us now is Will Rutherford, who, unlike me, has been saying all along the Pacers are going to win the NBA championship. He's been saying it since about February, and even a little bit before the season, hinting at it. Welcome, Will. John has a question for you.
Yeah, well, I want you to describe what was the mood and the feeling like wherever you were watching the game last night.
I think that it was annoyed at the time, about the end of the fourth quarter. I would say that it was pretty calm, pretty chill. Didn't like the start, but they've kind of started like that each game this series. Oklahoma's kind of come out and taken it to them there in the first 8 minutes or so. But I think it was by the end of the second quarter, it was okay. Like they're up, like they are in control, seemingly a little bit. And then the third quarter was just kind of that, roller coaster down, felt good.
Will was feeling that anxiety at that point. It was coming across in the text.
I was. And then
me too.
And then I would say right there at the third quarter, after they gave up that 6-0 run to be down 5 going into the fourth, I felt bad. I was like, oh God, this is how they lose. Like, this is how they lose the series. It's like they put together like a bad 2-minute stretch. And then the fourth quarter, it just...
Hold on, Will. Before you move on, before you get to the fourth quarter, I want to point something out here that I heard today. Oklahoma City lost 2 games in the regular season when leading after 3 quarters. And they've lost 2 in the NBA Finals.
I I felt like
Extraordinary. This
it was
team,
over. I felt like it was over when, and even though it was 5 points, it felt like the momentum was on their side. The bench didn't play great that last like 2 minutes where they're kind of in that bench minutes transitioning back into the starters. And then the
and
fourth
even
quarter,
though, and even though we've seen it from the Pacers over and over, there was still a little doubt because Oklahoma City is that good.
I didn't have any concern once about 3 minutes into the fourth quarter. I was like, they're winning this game.
Right.
They have the
Exactly.
momentum, they have the movement, they are playing better right now. Like I felt completely confident after about 3 minutes in, and then they just coasted the rest of the way. Just need to hit free throws, and they were in great shape. But it was
And you
definitely, I think,
felt,
relieved after that the game ended. But it was relief.
yes. And we talked about, you mentioned that there was a time in the fourth quarter where you started to say, oh, we're going to win this game. And it
Hmm.
was a little bit before the TJ McConnell steal. And then it was, who was it? Somebody had put, Nemhard put his shot back. And then McConnell stole the inbound pass and put it in to
Yes.
tie the game. At that point,
Hmm.
I was like, they are not losing this game.
Yeah, it felt wraps there. I'm glad. Thought McConnell played well, really well actually in that
You want me to
game.
sing, don't you?
Hey, can we get that on the calendar that Will says TJ played great?
Yes, we
I
can.
I was I actually was I was watching his minutes closely, and I thought that he was very effective when he was in there. He was hustling. He just had. I felt like he had an extra gear in Game 3. That just like even though he is always that guy for the Pacers, he he had like an extra gear that nobody else had. He was making people. Um, he was getting to the bucket off the dribble. Like it just felt like it was a McConnell kind of like takeover in a sense.
He was frustrating the team both on defense and on
Hmm.
offense. Like, and he would drive in and do his penetrate the lane thing and like by the baseline that he does, and then like sometimes he'd shoot it, and sometimes he'd give this like sweet little pass over to like Neesmith or somebody. And
Yep.
it was his passing was really good last night.
Hmm. Yeah, I thought that it's frustrating. I thought Nimhard had Shea uber frustrated that entire game. Like I just
No doubt.
the way that he was kind of able to just be in his grill.
Started punking him a
Um,
little too.
and one thing I've noticed that I don't understand, I guess, with the officiating a little bit is like that push off is just like glaring. Like it is
So
always like
glaring.
forearm extended out. It's
And the
like
hook?
I told my dad, I was like, Dad, if that was high school basketball, like, that's a charge 10 out of 10 times. Like they're calling that every single
Yeah.
time. Like it's
And that hook
completely,
that he does is unbelievable. He does it right in front of the official's face and they call it for him. He
it
just
just
hooks the
feels like
defender's arm and pulls it, and he does it over and over. They should be able to
yeah.
recognize it by now.
It feels like the push off, and I get that the offense is typically going to get the benefit of the doubt in any NBA game for the most part, but it just feels obvious a lot that like he creates space with that push off, and it's like Nimhard's playing great defense, playing square with the body, like not doing anything in a way that he shouldn't, and it just he gets nothing, and that's disappointing, but it is what it is too. At the same time, there's not really anything they can do about it, other than play hard and overcome it.
There was one push off early on. I think it was in the first quarter, and from where we were sitting, it looked like he basically throat punched Andrew Nimhard. I didn't see the replay of that one, but it really did. He did the
I
elbow
said I
straight.
thought he should be ejected. I thought there was a
Yeah.
case for him being ejected, but not even a flagrant was weird.
Not even a foul, not even a regular foul on that one. But like to me, it should have. It looked like I don't know about wind up, but there was definitely throat face contact.
Yeah.
But
No doubt about it.
the crowd was not happy about that one. I was not happy about that one. But here's the thing I like to say about this though: the Pacers know they have to play through that. They know they're not going to get the calls. They know he's going to do what he's going to do. There's no point whining and getting upset about it. You might
They've
as
been a
well
lot
just say-
better.
yeah,
They've been a
they've
lot,
really
lot
just
better
said-
with that.
Just say, hey, we're not getting it. Let's just play. Let's just win the
Yep.
game and leave no doubt. And that's what I like.
There's no doubt which team's the whinier team, is there?
No, for sure. And we don't. I mean, I know we don't typically. We try to avoid bringing up, especially with the post game, like the officiating and stuff like that. But like, really, for the most part, the Pacers have been on the downside of the officiating in every series they've played. Like they've had to overcome officiating in a way that Shea hasn't really been the foul merchant that the three before him were so far in this series. It's been respectful, I guess,
This is
at
the only
least. But
series
like,
I've noticed it, Will. This is the only series I've noticed
then I think we had to have been watching different like that Cleveland series. Donovan Mitchell, it was constant. Anything if you blew on Donovan Mitchell with him going up, it was a foul. I mean,
yeah, they just buy too
you don't.
much crap. I don't understand it. If the same guy's doing the same thing over and over, it's not a foul on the other guy. It's him doing that same thing over and over,
Yep.
trying to draw a foul. And it's obvious
Yeah.
with this. How have they not
Yes.
caught on to this with him?
Yeah, and I thought that they did the officiating was good as far as like Shea
It's
didn't
been
get
good.
that BS. There was one drive, especially against Shepherd, that in the regular season was a foul, and last night wasn't because Ben squared him up. He didn't move the body at all. He stayed square, and SGA does that flop where he just falls over, on the layup, and
Yeah.
it's like it's a bailout. When you call fouls on that, it's a bailout for a bad shot. It's the way I view it. You even if you get fouled on a really awful shot, like to me, it's not a foul. If you're just throwing up crap and hoping that it sticks to the wall, I don't particularly like that. But the one thing I do find so interesting is like Nimhard couldn't really keep Brunson in front of him that entire Knicks series. He really struggled against Brunson, and Neesmith was the guy, and it's been kind of the opposite way. I think that Nimhard's had his way with SGA a little bit more than
It's kind of a
Neesmith has,
matchup
which just
thing.
makes no sense. It makes no sense because like size wise, you'd think Neesmith has the matchup advantage against
Yeah.
SGA with the length and stuff and the bigger body, but
And I
They
think
have
what
history.
Carlisle's done, yeah, that's a good point too. They do have history. They
yeah,
played with
I
each
hadn't
other
even
for a
thought about
long
that.
time. Yeah,
Yep.
but the thing that Carlisle's done a great job of is throwing both of those guys at certain people and keeping them off
hmm
rhythm with two different kind of styles that are both kind of hounding.
Yeah, I mean, we said it. We've talked about it ad nauseum. I think at this point that Tyrese has to be the best player for the Pacers to win, and he was the best player last night too.
Before we transition off of the fouls, let's talk about how many free throws Tyrese has taken this entire series. Do you guys know the number? It's exactly 0.
What?
He's taken 0 free throws in
I
the
had
Oklahoma
no
City series.
idea. That is
So,
crazy.
well, like I always, when I'm at a high school game or whatever, and I hear the coaches saying, "Well, how it's call it even? They have 6 and we have 14 or what?" Like I'm not big on those numbers really. Like just stop fouling as much. But when one guy has 0, I mean that tells you something.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us. Always appreciate it. And I think, when are we talking to you next? I guess after the game tomorrow. It's the quick turnaround tonight. We'll probably
Yeah,
won't
it
have
is the
quite
quick
as much
turnaround.
between games. Is that
Yeah,
is that good for the Pacers or not? You think?
I think it's good to put the Thunder on the ropes. The Thunder look winded in that fourth quarter last night. They were pulling on the shorts. They had hands on knees. Like they looked a little sluggish, a little slow, and annoyed. I think it's actually a good thing for the Pacers because I thought the Pacers looked really fresh there in that fourth quarter, and that's an advantage. I don't understand why the media is not talking about that the Pacers wore down the other three teams. And for whatever reason that we've just talked like Oklahoma City is immune to getting worn down as well. And I just think that the Pacers, they're winning in 6. I think they win tomorrow night. They lose game 5 in Oklahoma City. They come home and they win it.
From your lips, man. From your
It
lips.
fe it feels like the same way it felt in the Knicks series where you
It
just
kind
start
of
to
does.
see
It
you just
kind of
start to
does.
see the looks on the faces and it's like you see Dagono's face last night in the fourth quarter and it's like crap, this is real. Like this is not just another team. Like this Pacers team is for real, and I don't know if I have an answer for him. Like that's what his look to me looked like last night was I don't have an answer for what they're able to do. And if that's the case, then the Thunder have absolutely no chance of winning this series.
I don't think the look was that, but it was, oh, I've got a lot of work to do keeping up with this old coach who was once discarded because he was the old generation and is now a new revolutionary coach in his fourth iteration of
Yep.
leading another team toward a championship. It's pretty unbelievable what Rick Carlisle's done here.
hmm Yep, you can't discredit it. This and the 2011 run will be the two I guess, most underdog, like unpredicted runs probably ever. I can't remember a time when the Heat were the 8 seed, sure, but then I think they got swept in the finals and looked awful. So, I mean, this feels real. This feels like this team belongs, and I hope that that short break benefits the Pacers tomorrow night because the Thunder are playing for their lives. The Thunder are playing for their postseason hopes, and I'm just so glad too that John got to be there to
Oh,
experience it last
it
night.
was
That's just incredible.
it was crazy, man. It was absolute. Like I know I told you guys it was expensive, but it was worth every penny.
Yeah.
Like just
Absolutely.
once in a lifetime thing, and to share it with my daughter, it was so cool.
Yeah, money should be spent on experiences more than things.
Yeah.
Preach.
Well, I know you got to go, Will, but keep up the hate on TJ because hopefully that'll motivate him and keep him playing well.
If McConnell listens to this podcast, I think that he should be the 11th guy off the bench pretty much every game, except last night.
Except last night.
Except last night.
I love him. I love him, love him, love him. I love him so much that I'm about to sing again. M-C-O-N-N-E-L-L McConnell.
I will say that like one of the first plays TJ made when he came in last night was like he had that like dribble out of bounds or he lost the ball really quick or whatever. And like I knew I was ahead of you guys and I was like, oh God, I can't wait to see what Will says to that when they finally see it happen.
Thanks so much, Will. Talk to you next time.
See you guys. Take care.
Talk to you after game 4. And we're joined now by Codey Emerson of the Greencastle Banner Graphic with his thoughts. And here we go. I avoided with Will talking about Miles Turner. But here we go. We're just going to do it. I love Miles Turner. He's probably he's definitely a top 3 pacer for me in my heart. I love what he's done for the team. But last night we had a big discussion on Miles Turner, and I think it's time to just say it, and it's okay. We all love Miles Turner, even if we feel like he's not the right fit for this franchise going forward.
Don't get me wrong. I'll be the first person to admit when he has a bad game. Like last night, offensively, he really wasn't that great. I'll be the first person to say that.
He was horrible defensively, too, until the end of the game.
Yeah, he had some game-deciding.
Yes, he did.
Let's be real.
Did.
I
was so happy for that guy. I love that guy.
He has been through, like, basically since he's been in the league, he's been the center of trade rumors. And what has he done? He hadn't let that really affect. I haven't seen it.
Nope. You're right.
Maybe you guys have.
No, I'll say that I think in 21-22 it was starting to affect him, and he was in a different space. But if you he came out of it and said, "I'm gonna just fix it." If you read his article that he wrote, like he kind of says, it got into his head in that for a couple of years.
I mean, but he has just been. I know us sports guys and journalists, and I'm one of them. Use the term "consummate pro." He's been that.
Absolutely.
And
my issue, Codey, is that if you're a franchise who wants to go forward, they need a guy, whether it's a power forward or a center, who is going to get contested rebounds, and the next time Miles Turner gets a contested rebound will be the first time, and turns that into a fast break, and worries more about defending the paint than shooting 3-pointers, and he does defend the paint. Don't get me wrong. He's great. He's a great off-ball defender, but he is often just with his footwork, a horrible on-ball defender. Anyway, this is probably not the right time to have it, but since we had this discussion last night, I wanted to let everybody know on the group, I love Miles Turner. I think going forward, you need a guy like Bam Adebayo, who's going to get the rebound, turn that into a fast break, and go. It's what they need. That's not what Miles Turner does. That's not what Pascal Siakam does. They need that guy.
Well, Pascal Siakam's the one who kind of leaks out a little bit.
Right. And he's fantastic at it.
Yeah. And I will say, to have the reason the Pacers have gotten, I think the reason their offense is able to work the way it does is partially because of Miles Turner's ability to shoot the three. He creates so many driving lanes. He creates so many cuts that he's not clogging up the paint. And he's able to... You don't it's the modern NBA. You have to have, in my opinion, and we obviously, I mean, it's okay to disagree because us
Yep.
sports guys do it basically every day. Just the three ball is king. It's just how it is in today's NBA. And don't get me wrong, the ability. Would I like Miles Turner to average more than what 6.5 rebounds?
6.5 rebounds.
Absolutely
ridiculous.
Yes. It's been the weakest part of his game his entire career. But he does so many other things well, in my opinion.
And he'd be a good fit with other teams, I believe, and he'd be a great player with other teams. He does not fit this team well. By the way, neither does Benedict Mathurin, who is a guy who can take over a game like nobody's business. But the Pacers' MO is moving the ball, and Mathurin's just not that guy. That's why he's gone from the starting lineup to the bench, is because he fits better with that group.
Yeah.
But, man, when he decides to take over a game, is there a better scorer the Pacers have had ever? Maybe Paul George, maybe. When he becomes a scorer, he is just unstoppable. Best finisher the Pacers have had, probably since Dale Davis, best finisher at the basket. Jermaine O'Neal. Sorry, Jermaine O'Neal.
What I like about that is, and I think I was listening to Zach Lowe and gosh darn it, Bill Simmons. Yeah, I about said Ben Simmons. No, that's the worthless NBA player. But they talked about, I think it was one of them who said it. Mathurin plays, and it's okay if he's not, but he plays like he thinks he's the best player. And you need that, and sometimes you need
he absolutely
that
does.
And you know what I love most about him is he's a young, feisty, and I mean, don't get me wrong. In that Cleveland series, you need a guy with a little bit of edge.
Absolutely.
I don't think he goes over the top, really. He's not obviously a Draymond Green level. I don't think anyone is, but he knows kind of when to tote the line, and he provides just that, that edginess.
I'm gonna go out on a bold thing and say he's kind of like a variation of what we got from Lance Stevenson back in the day. Like he
agree.
He can get under the skin of the other team. He says the right things.
Way more skilled than Lance Stevenson ever was. By the way,
I'm not talking about his play.
Okay, all right. I just want to point that out.
No, I'm not talking about his play at all. I'm talking about when Benny's out there saying things like, "You still can't guard me, and you can't do this," and he'll like talk trash to people under his breath when they're at the free throw line. If it happened in Cleveland, and it's been happening with SGA a little bit, it's been happening with the Thunder. He's doing that to like rattle him, and I like that part of him. Plus, and then you add that he's a much better skilled player and scorer. Then that's just even more bonus, right?
Yeah.
Now I worry about him getting technicals. I do. I worry about him getting texts, but like when Benny's on.
But that's part of his personality and what makes him him.
Well, yeah, we can't get mad at players for getting texts, or we'd have to hate Caitlin Clark because she gets more texts than anybody. So, I mean,
what part about Ben is this is what his third year in the league.
Mm-hmm. Third year,
and first time getting. I think I mentioned this when we were doing our reaction. He's 22 years old. Like he's experiencing all this for the first time, and the Pacers. They traded for him on draft night, right? Did they not pick
No,
him?
they drafted him because
drafted him. Okay,
it went Jaden Ivey in front of him, and then Mathurin, and Mathurin said he was going to.
Well, there was a pick between them too, and it was the one that saved us was Sacramento. I thought for sure that they were going to take Mathurin, and then we were going to wind up with. Who did Sacramento take? The guy, he's decent, but...
Sacramento doing us a favor? Never.
Yeah, they've done us a lot throughout the years.
Hey, I just want to...
22 years old, and he's this skilled. He can just flat out score. I mean, it's scary to think kind of...
Look, I'm only invoking this name because... I'm only invoking this name because of the style. It's not nearly Michael Jordan, but the way he finishes around the rim and bullies his way to the basket and will not be stopped, and then once he gets to the basket, that ball always goes in the basket. It's unbelievable. It seems like he's at the wrong angle every time, and the ball somehow. Michael Jordan was the most uncanny at that. It looked like there's ball had no chance of going in, and it goes. There's a lot of Matherin in that. Again, not even close to the same type of player. I'm just talking about 2 feet from the rim, the similarity.
The mentality, too, of, I'm better than you.
I was going to add that, too. Like I don't know if anybody's believed they're the best player as much as Matherin since Jordan, so maybe LeBron.
That's right. Yeah.
Maybe LeBron.
Well, I don't know if LeBron really believes it. I think it's just talk. Hey, let's talk about LeBron real fast. You guys saw that let's do it.
All right.
He said the other day that he would love to play with Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah, I saw that.
He would be the perfect fit in that
his
role.
chance during the Summer Olympics. That's all the chances.
Okay, I'm just saying he'd be the perfect fit in that role for this team to win a championship. No, I didn't think so.
I don't
Me
want
neither.
him.
The thought just makes me kind of ill.
Well, and kind of on that same breath, I cannot remember who it was. I don't know if it was a national. I was scrolling through, just TikTok, and I can't remember if it was a sports show. I can't remember if it was just a podcast that just two guys talking ball or whatever. But they said that they believe that Kevin Durant would be a great fit for the Pacers.
No,
not really. But I mean,
skill set wise, he'd be perfect. But the thing that's made the Pacers good is they drafted a bunch of guys who are obsessed with basketball. That's all they care about. They don't care about the media. I think we talked about this on an earlier NBA playoff report, John, that the Pacers are the least engaged social media in the entire league, and it was them and Oklahoma City were the top two.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. That's my whole point.
Kevin Durant's the exact opposite of that.
I quickly was like, no. I mean, skill set wise, obviously, yes. But no, I'll pass.
I just think what makes this team great is everybody believes they're there for each other. They're not worried about being the guy. Like, maybe Tyrese a little bit, but I honestly don't think so. Like, I think he's got a little bit of it, but I truly don't think that he's so obsessed with, like, being the guy that it matters. Like, you can take anyone on this team, and they could be the guy that night. Like, last night was Benny's night, honestly. Like, Benny took over last night. And another game, you had Pascal take over. And another game, you'll have Halliburton. And then in New York, Neesmith went off. So that's what makes this team great. You add a LeBron or a KD, and they're going to be like, this is my team. And that takes away what is good about the Pacers.
I'm not sure LeBron would feel that way. By the way, LeBron is, as much as we hate him, and he is not a great teammate, he is way better than Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant was miserable with a team that won 70 games. No, thank you. No, thank you. But LeBron James, it would just the thought of all that whining and if they won a championship, people would be like, "Oh, it's because they got LeBron." Oh, the thought makes me sick.
Let's even talk about. Let's pretend in this weird universe you've created that we get LeBron on the Pacers for the next season. How many games does he actually even play? Right, because he's got to be on, rest management or load management, and he's going to have some sort of injury or whatever. Like, you're only going to get him for maybe half the season until the playoffs.
He did, and as much crap as I give LeBron, I think this year, and I could be wrong, but I understand what you're saying, John. But I think this year he was relatively healthy. I get the load management, I get the resting, but I think this was like one of the first years in.
And he was really good too, by the way. He was really good too. I don't think people realize how good he was. This was his best year. This was his best year in 2 or 3 years because, like he's done every phase of his career, he's adapted to being the old guy. And
yeah, but you also give him Luka Doncic. You give him Luka Doncic.
But even before that, they were afloat. They were afloat without Luka Doncic. What he did this year. Yeah, what he did this year was pretty amazing. I'm not saying I have no love for LeBron, and I really don't want him on the team. I was just throwing that out there. I do think if they win the championship, they have to re-sign Miles Turner. I don't think there's any doubt about that. If they don't, I think they sign and trade him because there are better fits, and I think they know that. I think they know that there's a limitation with Miles Turner as their center, especially with all of the with all of the options available to him. This is probably not the right time to be talking about this, but it is about to be the off season. That's the weird thing about it is.
I just think there's going to be too much loyalty to him as a person for sticking with the team through everything.
If they win, they have to.
Like, I think the basketball is a business, of course, right? But I think if they win, I think they sign him a thing that gets him through the rest of his career so he gets to retire a Pacer.
If they win, yes.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what happens. But if they lose, they have an opportunity here to become the best team in the NBA for the next half decade or longer. And they don't waste that on loyalty, please. We've never won a championship. I understand. If we win, this changes everything. I want the same team next year to run it back. But if they don't, they have an opportunity here to have a 5-year run that does not include Miles Turner being the worst defensive rebounding center in the history of the NBA.
I just want to throw out the 2 jerseys that my daughter and I wore to the game we bought this year. As I got Miles Turner and Kyrie got Benedict Mathurin. So the 2 guys we've been talking about tonight, that's who we bought for jerseys this year.
I've been talking to, but I would not do this on the Pacers report, John, because I love Miles Turner too much. But I kind of need to air this out because, like I said, it is about to be the offseason, hopefully on Tuesday.
Well, that's fair.
Hopefully it'll be the offseason on Tuesday, guys.
That's fair. I do
5
think
days from now.
we can segue to kind of a point where when you talk about LeBron saying how much he wants to play with Tyrese, I think that Tyrese has made Indiana a destination for free agents.
Well, that's what I mean.
That's what Shams is.
That's what I mean.
Too. Well, yeah, because we also have
the only way you're getting those players. But the only way you're getting those players is to sign and trade Miles. That's the only way you're getting those players.
Well, no, I'm not even saying I want them. I'm just saying that, we've got PG talking about how much he wants to play with Miles. And LeBron saying how... Well, I know. I hope not. I would rather move. If you made me pick between PG and LeBron, I don't even know which one I would take because I don't like either of them. But I'm just saying... but you got those 2 guys that want to be here. And we've got other people that want to be here. So, Indy's no longer nap town, sleepy town, whatever. It's becoming a destination.
You got to take advantage of it.
And it's true for the Fever, too, right? Indianapolis is, becoming a hub of basketball right now, and it is amazing to watch.
You got to take advantage of it. You cannot squander it on loyalty. I'm sorry. As much as I love Miles Turner, personally, look, just throwing this out there, I used to go to games an hour early before the games when I had a media credential. And I'd go into the locker room during the media time. I never asked questions or did interviews because I was going to ask questions after the game. But just to talk to the guys, and one of the friendliest guys I've ever met, Thaddeus Young was my guy. But also Miles Turner is one of the friendliest guys I've ever met. There's no one on this team I won a championship more for than Miles Turner. But if they don't win this championship this year, and their best years are ahead of them, they got to take advantage strike while the iron's hot. And if they do, I'm just saying somebody's got to be in that deal. And you're not going to get it done with Thomas Bryant in a trade. So I think that's what happens if they don't win. Win, and I think just sign everybody, go over the luxury tax, do it again, go with this same team that we fell in love with. As long as they've won 1 championship, I'm happy.
My only thing is, and it's the grand old question that everyone asks, and I know you brought up a couple names, I think, last night, Greg. Bam, I'd probably end up being all right with Bam.
I just mean that type.
I just don't know who all you could get. I
Dale
guess that's
Davis.
my thing is if you're
they
going
need Dale Davis.
If you're going to
let's just get Shaq while we're at it. I'll take Shaq.
Is if you're gonna obviously get rid or explore him and trade talks for the billionth time in his career and actually pull the trigger, who are you getting? That's my only concern. It's
the other option is trading Siakam and putting a guy next to Turner who does those things.
No.
I'm not saying that's the only option, but you can't have your power forward and your center both minus rebounders. Well, that's because you paid him doesn't mean you're not trading him. I'm sorry, that's not how it works.
I still agree. I agree with I like Miles being able to stretch the floor. I don't like him always taking the 3, but I like that he's a threat to do it because it makes defenses consider him. So I like that aspect of his game. So I do think it does fit with our move the ball fast style of offense.
And again, if it results in it, if him averaging 6.5 points or 6.5 rebounds a game results in a championship this year, I throw away everything I've just said and screw it. It worked. Let's do it. Let's go.
Well, the thing is,
but if they don't win this, and in my lifetime, the only thing I want other than my wife to come home to me every day is for the Pacers to one day win a freaking championship. We've seen everything else. And if it doesn't happen this year, they got to do whatever it takes to win it in the future.
What I will say about his rebounding is, thankfully, I think, at least in this series, which kind of shocked me, because I was kind of worried. I mean, Pacers have really typically never rebounded well, but I think they've out-rebounded OKC. And
OKC's not a good rebounding team either.
Wins. The team is like, when Halliburton's given you almost a triple-double with 9 rebounds, when Mathurin, when the rest of the team is gang rebounding, they're helping out Miles Turner, obviously. So
my only issue is that he does not get contested rebounds. He doesn't even try for contested rebounds. That's the only issue. Other than that, I love him. He fits in a lot of ways. But if you're going to go with this Rick Carlisle philosophy, you just need a guy who's going to get the rebound and turn it into a fast break. Who's going to get a contested rebound and turn it into a fast break. I don't think that Halliburton got more than 2 contested rebounds. He gets the uncontested rebounds and turns them into points, and that's what we like. The problem is the contested rebounds. And the truth is, I don't think Oklahoma City, especially with the adjustment they made, is a better rebounding team than the Pacers either. They're not very good at it either.
No, it's kind of... granted, I didn't know a ton about OKC before coming in, but kind of shocks me when Chet Holmgren, 7-1. Who has been absolutely, excluding like the first quarter of last night and maybe the first half of, I think, game 2, I think, where he had like 17 or 15 or whatever. And I get he's young, and I get this is his first time.
And he's a whiny bitch.
Oh definitely.
Man.
He's awful. But he has been getting, and this is where I give Miles Turner a ton of credit, a veteran player taking advantage of a young, he's not a rookie.
Yeah. By the way,
he's been awful. Chet Holmgren has been flat out.
But here's one thing to consider before we move on to some NBA news and notes. And you're welcome to join us, Cody, or you're welcome to go. We're going to talk a little Knicks and how funny they are.
Oh, making fun of the Knicks, count me in.
All right. But before we move on to that, when Chet Holmgren becomes the player he's clearly going to become, right? He's clearly going to be. How good is Oklahoma City going to be? We need to beef up if we're going to beat them in the future.
Well, and the fact with OKC is they have Sam Presti is night and day the best. As much as I love Kevin Pritchard and what he's done,
I wouldn't say the best. I'd say it's 1A and 1B.
What Sam Presti has turned OKC into is with all those
same thing with the Pacers
draft picks too. The question is, what does OKC do? Do you trade for another star to pair with SGA? Do you? They have boatload. They have a king's ransom of draft picks.
Yep, too many.
Yeah,
too many. They're going to turn those into something else.
Yeah, I would think that's what they do.
Probably Giannis or something like that.
I think he'd be a great fit in OKC. I really do.
Well, let's talk about other things that are going on around the NBA because I'm no Stephen A., but I do think that the Knicks have an interesting story going on with this coaching situation. They fired Tom Thibodeau.
It's hilarious. Their best season in freaking a decade.
And then, they played great. They made the ECF. I hate to say nice things about the Knicks, but they played really well and had a great season. And then they fired Tom Thibodeau. Well, that was the point I was getting ready to go to. Like, they've reached out to 5 teams, and all of the teams have said no, like flat out no, you can't talk to our coach. But like, what kind of precedent does that set for? If why would you want to go be a coach there if you know you're going to have a good season and they're going to throw you away?
2 games away from the finals and not good enough. Well, what the heck do you want me to do? That my roster wasn't good enough to get farther than that.
I think I do think he mismanaged his roster somewhat in the playoffs.
Yes.
Like, I think he wore his
Especially
players
the
down.
year before.
And if you don't think he can fix that, fair enough. You've got to either tell him change what you're doing or adjust your strategy, or we're going to let you go. And if he said
Or have a plan at least before you let him go.
And if they gave him that option and he said I'm not changing, then I could see saying, okay, we're going to find someone who will. But like, they don't have a plan.
This is the only thing I would offend Tom Thibodeau with. You talk about, I mean, and it's what he's done his entire career with his philosophy of just playing the hell out of his starters. The Knicks bench we saw, I'm sorry, the Knicks bench, excluding like 5 minutes from Mitchell Robinson and who else is the guard who can shoot threes off their bench? I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Mix something. It's the Knicks. Who cares? Yeah, it's the Knicks. Who cares?
Their bench is awful. It's atrocious.
I can't see them doing
really
better.
Want him playing those guys more, especially in a playoff series? I don't want to say his hands were tied, but
hey, Cody, you know what happened?
What's that?
The Knicks wanted to sign Jalen Brunson so bad they gave away Obi Toppin.
And thank goodness that they did, right? Like,
yes, indeed. That's a guy I wanted to get rid of before the season began, and now I can't imagine this team without him.
He is another one of my daughter's favorite players. Like, she likes the whole team. Like, she absolutely does. But like, she loves Benny. She loves Obi Toppin.
One of my good friend's favorite players is Obi.
So
he's the Detlef Schrempf of a new generation, John.
Well, that's that might be a fair, like, really, if you think about that, because, three ball wasn't as important back when Detlef Schrempf played, right? So he
led the league in 3-pointers made.
Well, no, but I know, but I'm saying it wasn't like the main focus of the strategy, like it is, right?
Yeah.
So, and now Obi Toppin's great at dunking, and dunking is not really the main strategy anymore. So you're closer.
I know what you're saying. Yeah. Detlef was one of the great 3-point shooters. I think he was made a 3-point final once, and he was 6'11" and athletic, and I still think we wouldn't be talking about the Pacers possibly winning their first championship of all time if they hadn't made their trade. Most people disagree with me. They think Derek McKee was more important because of his defense or whatever, and I say to that. Detlef Schrempf was twice the player Derek McKee was. I would rather have Detlef Schrempf, but whatever. But Obi Toppin is the new Detlef Schrempf of a generation who will one day appear on the reboot of Parks and Rec.
So before we get too far off of the topic at hand, if you're the Knicks, who are they going to get? Who do you think they even have a shot at? Doc.
I know
Doc
the
Rivers?
answer.
There are 2 guys that they haven't reached out to and that I haven't seen any interest in, but they would.
Rick Carlisle.
No.
By the way, you used the wrong pronoun.
I did?
Becky Hammon is the answer.
That I didn't even think about Becky Hammon.
Becky Hammon is the answer.
Do you think so after the way the season's going in Las Vegas, because they're not doing so hot in Las Vegas? The locker room's falling apart. Well,
that's other factors, not outside of her.
I think that you have to put some of the locker room culture on the coach, and that's been kind of a mess for the last 2 years.
All right. You would know more about that than I would.
She learned from the best, which
that's what I'm saying.
I wouldn't expect that out of.
And no one's going to say no.
I'm not saying she's bad for the record. Like, I don't know. I'm just saying, but like, as a culture, like Las Vegas culture for the last 2 years has not been positive.
I 1,000,000% thought she was going to be the next coach of the Spurs.
How about Jay Wright?
He's already said he doesn't want it. I don't think.
That's too bad for them, because that would work with all those Villanova guys.
There are the 2 guys that and I just don't understand the hate for Michael Malone. I really don't.
Yeah.
I don't. He should have never gotten fired. Obviously,
I don't know if he's a plus coach or not, but he's definitely not a minus coach. That's for sure.
Hell, what option? If you're the Knicks, what options do you have left?
I'll tell you who I think wants the job and would take it just because of the type of person they are. Isaiah Thomas. I think Isaiah Thomas.
Oh my gosh! Can you imagine how bad? He's already ruined that franchise once.
I know. I'm just telling you. I think he would take the job.
Terry Stotts would be a very good answer from a guy who no one can say no to. Terry Stotts would be a good one. Just not that long ago led the Trailblazers to the conference finals. You know, I don't know why they don't go that route. He's at least as good as.
But yeah, I mean, Taylor Jenkins is the other one that I would kind of pair with Michael Malone as the two. That why the hell haven't you at least contacted them to see if they're interested?
Exactly. No one can say no to you, too.
He got fired because John Morant hated him, and John Morant.
And that's probably a good thing.
A scumbag of a human being.
I always consider it a good thing when bad people dislike me.
Those two coaches should still first and foremost have jobs. It's like that. Those would be 1A and 1B on my list if I'm New York.
And by the way, I'm not sure John Morant is a bad person per se, but he's done bad actor things.
He doesn't have
bad
a great
actor
reputation.
things. I know. I'm just saying bad actor things. Sometimes that doesn't mean you're a bad actor.
I actually kind of like John Morant. I love watching him play. When we saw him play in Memphis, it was unbelievably fun to watch. But like,
I've interviewed him a couple of times, and I liked him.
I think he just made some bad choices.
Yeah,
and we all sometimes do when we're young, but his were very, very public bad choices.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he didn't do Gilbert Arenas. He didn't bring guns into the locker room. So
that's right.
At least it's a step above that.
Documentary, by the way, if you haven't seen that one.
I did. I saw that one on Netflix.
I can't wait.
It's very good.
Can't wait to see it. I remember when it happened.
I
was a reporter at the time.
It's out.
I was a reporter at the time. I remember what happened.
It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix, Craig.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to. Been busy with Pacer stuff and high school postseasons recently.
So last thing I want to bring up for Eastern Conference news to talk about is let's talk about Giannis. Do we think he stays with his home team, Milwaukee Bucks, or do we think he moves? And if he moves, where do you think he goes?
Two teams that I think make the most sense, and it's two teams that have kind of been, well, I said one of them already earlier, that have not only would make sense in my opinion, but have the draft capital to do it. And the kind of just the package that Giannis would demand. OKC, with all their boatload, they wouldn't even have to. They might have to pair one, maybe two other players.
Definitely one.
Just give the Kings ransom of picks to Milwaukee.
Holmgren would definitely be in the pick. Definitely be in the trade because it's the same position.
And then the other one is the Houston Rockets. Those are the two. The Houston surprised the hell out of me first and foremost this year
because they can give you Sengun back.
Yeah, and I know they've got a couple of between those young players, and they've got enough draft picks, I think. So those are the two. I mean, obviously they've said reports are coming out of the Knicks are going to be.
Yeah, don't be surprised by the Knicks.
Trying to pursue him. It's just, of course, New York wants to be in the headlines.
I don't think New York has the capital to get it done.
By the way, where he's going to wind up is none of those, just so you know. Where he's going to wind up is one of two places, and that is going to be most likely, and from what I hear, probably almost done, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and it'll include Evan Mobley and draft picks, and
Rating them in the division?
Yep. And the other one would be the Indiana Pacers. And it would be Turner, Siakam, and Mathurin for Giannis. And imagine that Pacers team. Imagine all you have to do is find a big man to rebound and play defense. And what would be wrong with that?
I don't think Indiana. Well, one, I don't think Indiana fans would
There's never been
that.
a big man who runs the floor better than Giannis ever in the history of the game.
I don't doubt that. I just don't think that after all the rivalry that it's like trading Babe Ruth to Boston,
which is exactly what happened.
Well, right. I'm just saying, like, I don't think Indiana goes along with that.
It doesn't matter if Giannis goes to him and says, "I want to play with one of these teams," and one of those teams is the Pacers. The Bucks will do it. It's the way the trend has gone, especially.
Who's your other big man alongside Giannis? Obi?
Hopefully Isaiah Jackson, but I'm just talking about a guy who never
time starter.
I'm talking about a guy who never. If you have Giannis, you have Giannis, Nembhard, Nesmith, Halliburton. You retain your entire bench, and now you add him.
Matthews.
I don't think it really matters. Play him at center for all it matters. But Isaiah Jackson, you want a guy who never has to have the ball. The only thing he does is defend and run and rebound. That's it.
I don't know. I just don't know that the Pacers would be willing to go along with it. I don't think that it would. We'll see. I could see it working as a team. I'm not denying that part of it. I don't
kill their floor spacing.
I don't think it fits as far as
he can't.
He can't, but the rest of the team can. You don't have to have 5 shooters, Cody. Your center does not have to make 3-pointers to win in the NBA.
Miles earlier with his ability to space the floor, it allows everyone to flow, make cuts.
Okay, so you're telling me you would rather have Miles Turner than Giannis Antetokounmpo? Is that what you're saying? I did not
say that. I'm just saying Giannis wouldn't be able to space the floor as well as Miles Turner does.
No, that wouldn't be his job. His job wouldn't be to space the floor. That'd be everybody else's job to space the floor for him.
Do you think that fits with the Pacers' mentality as having one guy who's like the dude?
I don't think he would have to be the dude. I think it would work perfectly.
Do you think that can Giannis play that role though without trying to be the guy? Can he?
Yes.
Do you think he can buy into that mentality?
Absolutely. When he was younger, he was great as a role player. I believe
when he was younger,
I believe that he would. I believe he's a team first guy. No one's ever said that he's not a team first guy ever. He plays hard every single night, which, okay, Cody, he was a little sick yesterday. There were 3 loose balls that he just watched Miles Turner. You can't tell me that you wouldn't trade Siakam, Turner, and Mathurin for the best player on freaking earth.
I prefer a well-rounded team than one guy.
They still would be. They still have Nembhard, Nesmith, Halliburton, McConnell, Toppin.
You said Mathurin in that trade, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your bet, arguably one of your best bench.
It doesn't matter. You're getting the best player on earth.
I don't think Giannis would choose to play here anyway. So I think this is all moot.
I think he would. I think he likes what he sees.
I wouldn't say that I don't.
I think he sees exactly how he could fit in one of the few teams that could make it work.
I don't like.
It's going to be Cleveland, though. It's going to be Cleveland.
Yeah, I think Cleveland makes way more sense if he doesn't choose to go to OKC. But I think Cleveland makes way more sense. I just don't know that you can go for. And I agree with you. He was a role player when he was a rookie in his early years. He was great. I just don't know if it's like when you go from being broke to having a bunch of money to being broke again. I don't know if he can change his mindset to not being the superstar.
And he would be the superstar of the team, but it wouldn't matter. Everybody would love that. There's not a player on the current Pacers team that needs to be the superstar. And he's a team player. I just don't understand why you wouldn't want to do it. And now, as we were just about to finish our podcast, we welcome Mike Rich and Michelle Garmon for their thoughts, not about Giannis and being a Pacer next year, because the season won't end. The offseason won't begin until Tuesday when the Pacers win Game 5, right, Mike?
Yeah, Pacers in 5 if they win tomorrow night. 6 if they don't.
And we welcome our Pacers guy, Mike Rich, and Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader sports editor Michelle Garmon to the discussion. I guess we can keep going a little bit. Anybody got to go?
I'm good. They probably want to talk more Pacers than their other stuff, so we can.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. We'll go back. We'll go back to the Pacers and Mike. Reboot here. How you feeling?
How am I feeling? I feel good. I feel
Man,
like
this day. It was hard not to. It was hard not to be. It was hard not to be real excited today, wasn't it?
It was extremely hard, and just to look forward to what's next. And I really just think we wore on them last night.
Before we welcome in Michelle, let me tell a quick story. When I was 16 years old, the Reds were in the World Series, and we shared a season ticket with a couple other families. And my dad came to me before the World Series and said, "Do you want to go to Game 1 or Game 6?" And I thought the Reds were going to win in 6 games, so I picked Game 6. The lesson being, if you have a chance to go to a game, go, because there was no Game 6, and I never got to go to a World Series. Welcome, Michelle. Your thoughts? She's not there.
She might still.
I'm here. I just had to get off mute. My thoughts. I think I'm just excited. I'm glad. I think that Game 4 is tomorrow night. We don't have another day between.
Think that's a positive.
Yeah, it is a positive. They all talked about the crowd. I think the crowd was fabulous, and I just think it was great energy. I'm looking forward to it. I think the players are looking forward to that, playing against that in that same environment again tomorrow night.
Yeah, anybody think that that's a negative for the Pacers, the only one night of rest?
No, I think it benefits the Pacers 100%. I hope Miles is able to suit up and play. I hope they're just playing that to the media that he's a little ill, and but yeah, I think that benefits the Pacers and their bench. I think we will wear them out.
OKC definitely looked very tired.
They did.
Last night. They had their hands on their knees pretty early in the fourth quarter.
It was noticeable. That's when we started to say, I think we got him.
Yep.
Michelle and I were starting to say, I think we got him.
And I think we saw that in the other series. I think we saw that with New York. I think we saw that with Cleveland, Milwaukee. I mean, the longer the series, it just benefited them. But that fast pace that they have eventually catches up, and there's a lot of minutes on those legs from the OKC players, and so if they play their bench, I think our bench is just going to play better.
John, Mike, Cody, thank you so much for joining us, and to Michelle and Will, who were with us earlier. We just lost Michelle. Something went wrong, but guys, final thoughts before we go.
Pacers have the chance. We talked about it in the recap, but to put the dagger in OKC. Do it. Don't come out lackadaisical. Don't come out riding momentum of a win. Just play like you know how to play and put the coming back 3-1, it doesn't happen. Hardly ever. So go up 3-1, put the dagger in this team, and let's get an inch away from an NBA title.
Yeah, that's kind of my final thought, really, is it feels really good to be up. They're in control of the series, but they really need to just come out for Game 4 and get it done early and just leave no doubt for Game 4. Whoever wins Games 4, I think, is going to win the series, because if you let OKC get it, it shifts the momentum 180 degrees. And then Pacers are in a bad spot, so I really need them. I want them to come out strong.
I agree, John. I think OKC came into these 2 games and just thinking they needed to take one. Just to get home court advantage back. But I think we have to have a fast, good start. We can't give up 35, 40 points in the first quarter and get 25 to 30 up for ourselves. I just think we got to come out. We got to put our foot on their throat and just not let up. Go Pacers.
My final thought is that even if the Pacers do win tomorrow, I will not be comfortable one bit. Just so you know that. In fact, I'll probably be even more miserable. So, thanks, guys. Seriously, if they win on Friday night, I'm just going to assume they're going to lose 3 games in a row, because I've been waiting so long and it's been so close so many times. And once again, I want to say that if the Pacers win the championship, I want Miles Turner to be a Pacer forever. If they don't, they need to do whatever it takes to win a championship. And screw loyalty. I need a Pacers championship in my lifetime. Thanks again to everybody, and thank you for listening. Please share. Appreciate it. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie. And I love you too, Coco.